Hello, everybody. Thank you all for participating in my four-part Advent series for Liturgical Year A. Each weekend in these 4 weeks, I will have a simple reflection based on the Sunday Mass readings. Therefore, I recommend that you read the two readings and the Gospel before continuing with this reflection. But if you are ready, let us begin. This week on week one, we are faced with a dichotomy, with two opposites that you and I are very familiar with: darkness and light. Now, some of us might say, oh my, we've been talking about this light versus darkness all the time. And it's not just during Advent, more so during Easter, isn't it? And yet, this light versus darkness divide cannot be underestimated. Because how often have you and I chosen darkness instead of the light? The three readings today, they all mention light and darkness. I hope you have noticed. In this week, I wish to remind all of us, myself included, that the reward of light is Jesus Christ Himself, and also to remind ourselves the dangers when we choose darkness. This Advent is our chance to address these dangers of darkness head on. Let's look at the first reading by Isaiah. Isaiah speaks about the nations in darkness because they fight among themselves. They're consumed with national pride and self-interest. They lift up sword against one another, spending all their resources and energy not on life, but on war and hostility. And you and I, we are all too familiar with all these wars and conflict that besiege us each day in the news. But really, the danger here isn't just about physical war. It is the spiritual war, a spiritual war of resentment that we have in our hearts. When we choose darkness, we choose to hold on to grudges. We want to be angry with the person who made that comment that hurt us. We want to get back at that person one day, somehow. We sometimes say things that cause division in our own families, in our communities, at our workplaces, and even in church. We refuse to let God be the judge and healer. In fact, we don't want to be healed. Sometimes we sadistically like to be angry. We want to remain petty and unforgiving. We choose darkness. But today, Isaiah says, no, choose light. He says, come, let us go up to the mountain of the Lord. And the Lord's house is established on the highest mountains, or you might say, in the heavens. But for us to climb a mountain, if we want to succeed, we must travel light. In other words, get rid of all the tools and all the instruments of darkness. He says nations will hammer their swords into plowshares, their spears into sickle, meaning get rid of all these instruments of hate, of darkness. And then when unburdened, we can reach to the highest mountain where God dwells. He says we can therefore walk in the light of the Lord. So this Advent, Isaiah is inviting us to let go of that petty anger or that sensitivity that you and I have been nursing for so long, or that revenge that we have been plotting. In the second reading, St. Paul's letter to the Romans gives us an urgent warning. He says, the night is almost over, the day is at hand. We must wake up now. Now, this is not only a metaphor for the end of time, it also tells us the state of our soul right now, that we must wake up now. Meaning to say, let's not get comfortable in the darkness. Now, on your free day, sometimes we just want to spend the whole day in our pajamas and not do anything. Now, it might feel kind of good in the first part of the day, but if we continue to be in our pajamas, continue to be rolling in bed, we end up actually feeling more sluggish than before, not refreshed. And therefore, Paul says we must not be too comfortable in our beds, creating that night all the time, not wanting to face the day. Because if we do that, we will risk missing Christ's presence when He comes, because we have been too lazy, too comfortable in our sloppiness, in our way of life. So what must he do? He says, put on works of light. Put on the armor of light. Put on Jesus Christ, meaning to say, let our every thought and action be deliberate. Get out of that pajamas. Consciously shake off the darkness. Because if we are too comfortable when Jesus comes, we are not prepared. And we see this more emphasized in the gospel today by Matthew. It kind of sums up all that we are talking about. In the first part, Jesus gives us the image of the days of Noah. Now, what were the people doing as Jesus describes? They were not doing anything evil, so to speak. They were eating, they were drinking, they were marrying. Well, normal, ordinary routines of life. So, what's the danger here? What's the darkness? The danger or the darkness is that we could be preoccupied with the immediacy of this life, shopping, planning, our endless tasks, that we fail to notice that the eternal reality is coming near. So the danger is not about we are deliberately sinning, we are being evil, but the danger of darkness here is simply being unprepared or oblivious. Or you might even say an active don't care attitude. And the warning Jesus says, well, when the time comes, one will be taken, one will be left behind. This is the spiritual complacency, the missing or the missed opportunity of the Lord's coming. Oh, next week, then I'll go for confession. Oh, I will go for confession next year's Lent. You know, the lights of our parish shining tonight because there's penitential service. All the priests are there. Oh, but I'm too busy. I'm too busy shopping. I'm too busy with work. I will go for penitential service next Lent. Now, we can miss the chance to truly welcome Jesus. Not because we are actively sinning, so to speak, but we are actively busy, too comfortable, too engrossed in our own worlds. And these are subtle darkness, but equally dangerous. Okay, my dear brothers and sisters, enough said. You get my message, or you get the message of this week. So I thank you for watching this very first episode, because this signals that actually you are ready and willing to begin this Advent season well. By watching this first episode, you are already showing that you are keen to move from darkness into light. That light which will be the true light of Christmas, that we remember, commemorate Jesus' coming to earth as an incarnate man. So this is a great attitude on your part to watch this spiritual reflection. Now, moving forward, what can you do? How can you choose the light? In this Advent, think about it. Reflect on one good thing that you could just get rid of, one darkness that you can shed for the Lord this Advent. And every action, no matter how small, helps. It could be just spending a little bit more time before the Blessed Sacrament. It could be maybe just being more present in the family. It could also be just simply being more pleasant in the family. Whatever. You know your own darkness. You decide how to walk out of it. So may this Advent season start off well for you and end off even better. So I wish you a blessed Advent, walking in the light. I'll see you next week in the second reflection. God bless. Goodbye. And praise be Jesus Christ.